What's going on, guys? It's Music Player 1979 coming from West Texas today, January 20th, 2016. I want to bring you this seemingly long presentation showing you the epic coloring that is casting itself throughout the system as the system day by day encroaches itself closer to us. I do first want to apologize before we get started for taking such a phenomenal amount of time in releasing another video. The world as we know it is about to take a dramatic change, and it all fits together biblically. We have stress upon nations. We have greed and corruption. We have our skies being filled with chemicals that we are even unsure of. The coloration within the last year has changed so phenomenally. Throughout this program, I'll try to explain the best I can the understanding with the system and how it works mechanically with coloration and within movement, within the structure of the cloud. These are, again, phenomenal times we live in, and we need to focus on what is most important now. Our families, love, cherish the time we have. It's very vitally important. Thank you for watching. Please come back. Much love. Out very beautifully from the east side going southwest, and as it crosses this point it shadows out very beautifully, and you can tell it's still the same pattern of debris, okay, that's creating the wave. It's very beautiful, guys. It's very beautiful. You've got to pay attention to this as we zoom in and we try to keep hold of the object. A couple minutes later, we can see that this divide, all right, from the very fiery aspect to the atmospheric essence of a blue, okay, has reached its point towards the southwest, and you can see just for a moment the square nature of the dark object that is entangled within this fire. You can see the very mystical shadowing that's abrasing the west side of the sky this particular morning. Shadowing happens. It can draw at times right through the colorative object that we are seeing. Okay, and this is vitally important. You can see it here as well. Look at all of this, how it turns into that beautiful color here. Okay, it's the masking of light that so often shadows each and every object again. Okay, from its visible aspect. We can see here, it's very beautiful, guys. And we can see the vortex patterns, all right, as the objects try to push themselves out, okay, of this shadowed area. Okay, you can see this. It's very beautiful. All this continues into the depth of the other side of the object, and just look how the light is not able to cast itself. It's amazing. It is amazing. You can see the objects that are incoming that sit on this wave again. The only thing different here is the color. That's it. Look at the mist, guys, that is folding throughout the middle of that. Look at how very mystical this is. Look at the veins that come rippling through, and you have to imagine this is space. This is creating a very ashy posture to it. Think of it as a fire, all right, with lack of oxygen that can only travel one direction. Okay, and that's exactly what these are doing. They're traveling that direction, and they're creating that influence with, of course, this larger object. As it's coming back, of course, it passes larger objects. But the important part is to see the abrasive connection that it has. See this beautiful funnel here, guys. It's a vortexual funnel, and no matter what you think, if it seems that this system that you are seeing come above you, okay, is in our atmosphere, it is fooling you. Okay, you are being fooled. Please understand. We can go outside and we can view our stars that we see through our rotational pattern every night. So for people to stand there and say, okay, well, no, this is impossible. We cannot see planets above us that are moving across the sky. And that is exactly what is taking place. Here it comes around, it wraps itself around. It is connected to this area, okay, a moon. This is the debris hand. Okay. As it hits this moon, another arm is coming off of this. Think of the hands coming together, right, intertwining the fingers, as I showed you in videos in the past. This is a spheric object. There are ones behind it as well. There are objects, guys, throughout all of this. There's a smaller one here that's trailing that. You can see the distance of perspective here. But most of all, guys, we have the distinctive coloration. Very distinctive here. Okay, we can see the push-off, all right, of the objects, how they create that left and right turn motion about them. And for a moment, you can see a divine split here. From this line down, throws itself out towards the north as this throws itself off towards the west. Look at this push out of objects here. Depth of perception again. Background, foreground. Okay. Same thing here. There's an object here. It is held by this, this, and this, and what we cannot see on the bottom. And the debris is passing it by the thousands. That is why this saddens me so much, realizing how large this is now. This is a shelf, guys, a large shelf coming out of this as all of these are falling down off of their stairway. I mean, look at that. Look at this. That is what has created this. Look at this hand of debris. You can see it coming off of the west, going up at a 45, coming back down into a hand structure as it structures itself with this object. It's amazing. It is amazing. And look at the dominance in lighting on the west. I mean, this system, guys, when the objects surround us, the influential light, this in turn, I believe, which you will see very soon, I believe is the lions, the red, very beautiful tomato red ball with strands coming off of the end. And I believe that Revelations talks about this as having 6 horns. Okay, this is the debris, folks. Right? As we pause, we can see the step, very beautiful, perfect step in nature as we drop here. Okay, and we have debris by the thousands within this, and we can see the debris as it goes towards a larger object. We can see the debris path, very square and structured here. Leans from this wave hold, this hold here, to here within the oxided cloud. Okay, we can see the vortexual pattern creating here. 1 story, 2, 3, and so on. There's an object here. There are many of them. Okay, but they're now pushing objects out of this area onward on this debris path. Okay, as we have the very beautiful, vibrant, oxided cloud creating this feathering ability here to carry this object as well, with the moons down below. Everything happens for a reason in the system. Every movement, every abrasive action one takes with another. Okay, this is what my camera did. while I was filming this. And it's just phenomenal how many issues I start again. Okay, we have a circular object that sits atop of this debris. Okay. And it will continue to go out towards the east. We have the starting again of our second hand, the right side of our hand. We have the moons, guys. A wheel within a wheel. It's the spiral effect. One moon, the small one in the front, and spirals back larger and larger and larger every time as objects are coming down. This right here. Okay, it is coming down here, creating that beautiful winged effect, shooting off of this object. Okay, and this only builds and intensifies as it is creating. And you can see in the background the small spheric objects that are making themselves more prominently known as this continues. We have the spheric object here with moons. As I said here, the very abrasive touch of oxide cradling that small object. And just look at the wings, the very fiery nature, and look at this moon. But unfortunately, guys, it may look like these objects are coming from the south, but in turn, these objects are all around us now. And it's coming from below us. It's sad. It breaks my heart. I can't express enough to you how sad I am. There is a large moon here. Large. This is large, guys. Very large. Whether you believe it or not, it is sitting here. Okay. Very large. We have the other side of our hand, okay, that holds this object within the middle of it. Okay. Very abrasive and perfect. We can see as well as we pause, we have the smaller objects that are coming down, all right, as a landslide were to create. You can see the abrasive touches that it does here within the cloud, all right, and how very dark it is here, and how this cloud of oxide rolls off as this were a beautiful angel wing, which it's perfect, guys. Look, one side, the other side, abrasively holding this object. The beautiful angel creating itself here. A perfect angel, the head, the body, the wings. Okay, these are objects coming down, guys. You can see them here. You can see the objects here entangled within the debris. Very heartbreaking, but folks, pay attention. Okay, this one's coming out. There's a larger one here. Okay. And all the while, this object, all right, is going towards the east from the southwest, creating all of this dance. You can see this too, this large object here. Look at this, just rolling down towards this moon. Okay, you can see this area here starting to lift. All right, from this with the moons. So they're changing rotation. Okay, so things are going to start changing very dramatically. Like slicing the cake. If the slice is not there, it means there's an object there. Look at this right here. Pushing. Look at this moon going from the left to the right. Look at all this stuff. Okay, moving on the bottom of this object, this moon. And believe me, every object stops now and again because it is confronted by another object. Again, beautiful angel, guys, becoming very pure and perfect. Now again, you can see how the pattern is shifting. All of this oxide is starting to shift towards the southwest. You can see these moons here. They're starting to pull themselves inward, okay, towards this brightly lit oxide. Thus is because this object, this planet, is shifting itself. Okay. Now we have debris here that's mingling with it. This is the most dominant in the area. This will not have to worry about anything. Look at this moon right here that is coming into play right here. You can see how the light from the sun is cut here. Okay, this is the object that we were just looking at. It is here. It's cutting the light from the sun. Okay, thus again, proves the existence of that object that sits there. Okay. You can see it still bending the light. Moon that interacts very subtly. Look at this fiery area here. Very, very pure, guys, and perfect. The oxided pattern of debris that is just amazing throughout here. As we continue to pause and play, we can see it. The colors, guys, that come with the system, again, are very perfectly pure. The essence of color is only perfect. We can see the moons again and the colorative patterns that embrace the bottoms of the objects as well, as we have here. But one thing that you have to understand, the coloration with the system will fool you if you do not look at it in its respective form. Okay? You have to be accurate on what and how you see the system. Okay? This is a debris arm, very thick here. Objects are spilling out, okay, from the south, all right, and onward towards the north. As they do this, they have a very beautiful object, guys, very beautiful here, that is lit only through fresh interaction, all right, dominant interaction with the objects. Okay, now through the lighting, as it is here, through the lighting changes everything about the system. Okay, it is no longer gray and blue. Okay, it is a very icy blue, red, purple feel. This is very vitally important because this is a moon, okay, that has the debris connected to it. You can see it. This is a moon, and it has the debris fluctuating all over the sides. This is the arm right here. This arm goes out towards the east, northeast, and it will connect to another. Look at the beautiful array of light. Very perfect, guys. This is what I call the scroll. Okay, one of the scrolls being rolled out, very fiery. You can see the object at the very end. Okay, and it makes these. All right, and these are, again, as I've said so many times, the debris paths that the objects will travel on. Okay. And unfortunately, guys, this right here is a small one. Okay, I said a couple months back in a video, and guys, I couldn't have been more clear. The objects are massive. The three dark moons that are clutched together, they are massive. So vitally important in understanding the aperture of lighting and knowing that you are viewing the same thing, just in a different colorative form. It's very, very important that you understand this. And you understand that the lighting that is given so beautifully bright is because of the interaction from the objects. Okay. You can see the very pasty, icy blue here. And these are very long vortexual arms that are starting to appear here. Now this is sad, guys. One of the main areas that I want you to pay attention to is this area here, okay? And this, I know, this is the whole system itself. Okay, and as we move through the latter part of this presentation, I want you just to pay attention to the small things at the moment. That way you get kind of an idea of what we are looking at here, okay? So this is the spheric object with the debris behind. Now, we have, again, the stairway posture with the system, and again, back and forth motion. And the weaving ability, we have east to west, north to south rotation here. Okay, objects going under and over each other, okay, creating complete pandemic. Now, understanding the movement of the system, okay, gives a whole different meaning. This V is coming down at a 45. it is going to impel, as it already has here, through the bottom ladder part here. It's impelling this debris shelf that has come out of the wall, very large. It's come out of the east, very, very large. And of course it has the stairway aperture again to it. These objects are coming down off of the wall, of course, and we are only able to make out the shadowing. So of course, as we continue, we see the nature of brightly lit oxide followed by the dark. But we understand why these chem planes have flown over this area. Okay, and it is because of the large object, all right, and the moons that are traveling with them. We see one moon here, that's the small one, unfortunately. And we have the bigger one, okay, the bigger story. Okay, we have the smaller moons, of course, here, all the way down to the very minute small ones. Understanding the system, understanding that now and the rest of what I show you are objects, when you get that through your mind, okay, you'll start to see it. Okay, this is a moon with the debris going around it, clutching it as well, on top of this moon. Now again, as we continue with this video, we realize that there is a significant push here. There is the dark cluster that's appearing here, and this is again because of the moon with its moons, okay, protruding this area. We can see the divide between the light here and the dark right here. Okay, and again, this is the wave that's creating from this object. It's pushing itself outward towards this moon because they are both again influenced with one another. They are going to fight this moon, and this dark one are going to collide, and they are going to see which one will hold its directional pattern. Okay? All while dealing with all of the minute moons that trail with it. Okay. Now again, as we continue to look at the abrasive interactions around each area. It's vitally important that you do so. Okay, it's important that you understand this is a large wave that's coming out from the north. Okay, it is colliding with a large shelf, large. While it does this, it will have its moons. We still have our moon. We have the smaller moons coming into play, and here as well. As we continue to watch, we have interaction, throw off of thousands and thousands of debris. And knowing that as I swivel the camera, here's one of the sides, as the debris goes over the moons, all right, that are hidden at the moment, as this one is, as it goes over, it keeps perfect unison, in line with one another, all the way down to the very last one, very perfectly. You can see them through here, especially through here, and as they wrap around and create each influential move, turn. The very mystical clouding here as well, very dominant. Okay? Very, very dominant. All of this, you can see it starting to create here. Okay, once you start to realize that this is a vortexual hand here, creating. Okay, and it's going to raise a bit as it is here, and it is going to tower over the rest of this, creating again, if the sun hits it properly, a shadow beneath this as this travels and snakes out, as you see it doing here. It has that back and forth stopping motion with it. Okay? And a lot of objects create that, thus gives us that heavy push. We have an object here, a moon, that has made itself out because of the oxide of debris, okay, that is going around it. Okay, and of course we can make out a moon here because of the objects and the clutch, the hand that holds it. Okay, now we're making out more things here. We have a moon here, okay, that is held, and we see the moons that entangle themselves as well. So now we have 3 moons here that are sizable. that are sizable objects. Thus is why they put these chemtrails on. And it gets better. The system can play the same part in the dark as it does the light. It becomes very reclusive. Again, we have our stairway. We have the dark moons that are protruding into the wall. As we have the lighter of the moons that are falling out. Doing the same characteristical dance. So as we move away slower, we come out to the west side. Very dominant. Very, very dominant. And this is where it gets a bit odd. We have a moon here, very large. Very, very large. And we have a structured moon above, and it is right here, very large. Now we're going to tilt this just a bit, that way I can show you better the stairway pattern, the abrasive movement of the system itself. Now we can see right away it comes out here. As it walks itself down, it tilts a bit. It comes down and it turns. We can see the stairway patterns right here as the objects go up this stairway. They're creating the Elder's Throne. They're creating the life of the system. You can see the objects, how they come off the sides here and come up and over, and they are mingling within the middle here. Now again, we have the objects that have come from the top and they have fallen, and they continue to fall, and they create that scroll ability, the very smooth platform, almost as if it were a train track of such. But as they come out of the background and they walk the stairway, there are bigger objects waiting. There are bigger objects waiting their turn. We have a large object here, significantly large, with a smaller moon, with the moon here creating the debris. We have the oxidal lighting, very beautiful, but we notice that as we come down here and these objects are falling, it evens out here. And it clusters, and it is starting to, it has turned significantly. And it has clustered itself in this location. We can see the abrasive actions that the objects are doing as they're falling off a shelf. Creating that stone feature again. It's very mystical, and each interaction carves the lighting around the objects. It's very beautiful, guys. It's very beautiful. It's the heaven and the hell aspect of the system. And again, this abrasive action here in this area is caused by an object. You can see as these objects spill off the top, they come down and they intervene here in this location, and they continue on. Every object has to have a place. Every object. You can see this cluster of objects carrying out the very beautiful gold oxide from this top shelf, going towards this chemtrail. You see it through its movement. And it is throwing the objects in front as it continues. It's walking the debris. You see the cross. It's very beautiful. But again, as we continue to move further down, we realize that we have this constant interaction in this area. And this is because of a significant moon that resides here, which you'll see in a moment. But it gives you that idea of looking at the shelf here. We are looking at the side of the wall here of the debris, very flat. And the objects will push themselves out again as these objects create that smoothness. And again, we have the moon. You can see the partial moon here and the debris that ruffles off this side of the moon. So again, as we continue to follow the system as it's going across the sky this day of January 15th, we see that the chemtrail, of course, has stopped in this area. And as I've explained before, this is a significant area. Okay, this is the beautiful rendition of color change with the system from the atmospheric blue to the very tonal bright oxidal white. I captured this the 10th of December. I feel that this object here alone represents the eagle. Revelations explains these four living creatures. You can see that there is a circular spheric object on the right of the screen that divides the wing of the eagle. And there is a large object as well that is creating the debris arm that is just above this wing. There is also as well a larger object that you cannot make out that is creating the stronghold of debris that spreads from the center of the eagle to the left-hand side of it. It's very beautiful, guys. It's very, very beautiful. And I feel that the living creatures are represented throughout the whole system itself. The human can easily be seen with a large object and objects in front of it making its facial structure, as well as the calf and the lion. This is showing the arm, all right, that primarily starts in this area in the southwest, okay, and it comes very beautifully, perfectly up towards the due west side, continues towards the north. Now as we start, we can see the very prominence in debris here. Okay, we have the structural spheric object here and one just behind this one here. You'll be able to make it out as we continue. It's important again that I explain the colorative difference that the system can give, and it's always different. Okay, but if you understand the concept of what the system can do in general, then we understand what we're looking at, of course. Okay, so as we continue to observe closer to this, we have very small objects by the thousands that run side by side from the larger ones. You can see them here, guys. Very beautiful. Now as this happens and the rotation continues, we have the objects that will continue to appear, all right, as stairways would. And as I said before, it's only for moments we are able to make out the spheric round objects. Okay, we have the runoff of objects that are starting to appear here. We of course have the larger moons of these objects that will appear here. As we follow through with this, we start to see the essence of color. Okay, the run off of the wave. Okay, one wave after the other. Okay, story by story of debris pushing itself onward, continuing their motion of travel. As we do this, of course, again, we have the wave here that is pushing objects away from this area. We can see the dominance here, that's beginning. We can see the remnants of the debris here. Now, as I said in the last video, we have the objects that are pushing up and away, and we also have the objects that are creating themselves, knitting themselves across this primary area. Okay, so it creates that back and forth weave, okay, as you were to knit a blanket. Just because, again, the coloration changes does not mean there's nothing there. Zoom the camera back out, we only have more interaction that we can see. Okay, as it continues, we have these objects still. We have this area here. You can see the mist in the middle. We again have that stone look, that feature, okay, that is starting to present itself here. You can see the very dominant squared line that divides this from the runoff. Okay, you can see it here. The objects, the bigger ones, as they enclose themselves closer, they will move slower, as these are. They are moving about 3 times as fast as we would see a star going above us. Okay. As we continue again, we have the appearance of other moons that are starting to represent themselves. We have them up here as well. Okay. Now, in all actuality, let's remember, we are seeing this all upside down. This is coming up to us. It resembles it dropping down on us. Okay. It's remembering that the system at any time changes its temperature of color, not only through the depth of the oxide darkness of the cloud, okay, but its position as it is interacting with our sun's light as well. It's so important that we understand the cradling effect, the very pure essence of the stone look. Now here is our eye, very circular, and it is full of billions and billions and billions of objects, guys. And the center right here, okay, shoots beautifully out with thousands more. Okay, and within this vortexual circular lining, they build and they stretch out so the next moon can come through. Now again, I've said before, as the objects create themselves, it starts with one object. Okay, of course the smallest, because it's the fastest. And it continues and creates. And I said before, no matter how many times I've seen it, no matter how many times I've reported it, it never prepares me enough for the next time. And it's very true. And we can see, as we stop the camera somewhere around this area, okay, we have the smaller objects that are starting to show themselves. Okay. And we have the very perfect spidery veins that are coming off of the objects as well. Very powerful, guys. Very dominant as well. Now, if we look as we pan towards the north, we have a prominent misty area here. And I believe that this is an object that is held with its debris here. Okay. I do believe that there is a large object. If you guys have been following my videos, you guys know how close this is now. It's just showing size and volume at the moment, and it's pretty powerful. Okay, it's pretty powerful. As I pointed the camera towards the southwest side, this beautiful December 7th night of 2015, the essence of color became very, very vividly sound. As the sun had been set for approximately 15 minutes, the system had its window of beauty. As I viewed the wings that are very low on the horizon, and these are again holds of the object that is in the very center at the most lit area as we view it. That object is connected to 2 bands that go from the south, connect to it, and then into the northeast area. Very, very bright in color. As we move up higher in the sky, we have the very structured change because of the distance of the objects and the lighting that is taking place from them. But as we darkened within its colorated form that night, it became very cold. And this happened within a 15-second period. But as we look into the dominant dark area, just above the very beautiful bloody red color, we know that the objects are only showing themselves as they continue their rotation and the objects continue to tilt with that rotation. Now, as we continue to lose the atmospheric light, it only dampens the colors of the system, making the possibilities of viewing it more evidently clear. As we continue to zoom up on the center, we start making out that spheric object that secludes that area, followed by the beautiful hand of debris that holds it off into the north. In the very beginning of the video, I showed you what I called the eye. Thousands of objects that have come together to build a vortexual pattern with the system. In turn, this vortexual pattern again releases large objects. This is the connection from these large objects to the largest object that controls all of these. Now, as we continue to watch the system for the next couple minutes, it is very evidently clear that we have a dampness within our atmospheric light from the sun. And this system is creating that. Now again, as we zoom up into the center, into one of the moons that are held with the debris hands on both sides, again that connects to other objects of its size, if not bigger. As I have stated before, there are 3 massive moons that hold themselves together off of a thick debris arm. As we look at this very beautiful object, very powerful, we notice that not only do we have that specific bloody red color, but we have the shadowed pasty gray folding back towards the north, towards the right of the screen, and this is the debris that comes off of that bright object. There are 5 bands that I count with this specific object. This in turn, I believe, could be the lion. But as I've stated before, there is not only one fiery winged object on its way. There are multiple. And people around the world are starting to see this colorative pattern fulfill throughout our skies. As this color dampens, it only dampens because of the very bright white moon that is connecting with this bright object.